Sarnia-Lambton, it's time. Time to go beyond the scores and headlines. Time to dig into the sports issues impacting this community. It's time for the Sports Show.
Yes, another edition of the Sports Show. John Maillet along with Josh Boyce.
You're back today.
I'm back today.
Welcome back.
That's right. Had to do Easter dinner.
Busy eating turkey and such.
What? No turkey. Ham.
Ham?
I'm a ham guy.
That's, I like ham.
Yeah, well,
it's all good.
I like to eat. That's what I do. I don't do much physical stuff, but
big show to get to. Speaking of physical stuff, we've got Wes Harding in just a minute or two here. Also talking with Paul McCart, Alveston Indians baseball, just around the corner.
Looking to defend.
Is on May 1st, looking to defend the championship. Absolutely right. We'll hear a bit from Justin Abdelkader as well of the Red Wings. Of course, that series
looking to get taken out in 5 games.
Shifting over to Detroit tonight. I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be probably a 6-game series. But Boston had a heck of a game last time. Red Wings hoping to match that intensity on home ice this time around.
Well, during the break, I'll have to go and grab my playoff predictions, see how they're doing. I know the Tampa-Montreal series not going so well in my favor right now.
No, not so much. We'll compare notes a bit later on in the show as well. But first off, Wes Harding, he ran the Boston Marathon yesterday, and he joins us on the phone right now. And Wes, we really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, good afternoon. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be certainly sharing a little bit of what happened this past weekend there in Boston there. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you had the chance to run the marathon last year during, the unfortunate bombings as well. You and I chatted a bit earlier, but maybe just go over for us, some of the differences between last year's marathon and this year's marathon. Was the feeling any different going in there?
It's interesting talking about the mood and the atmosphere of Boston. This is my 3rd Boston Marathon that I did yesterday, and I must say the crowds were much louder. They were screaming away from start to finish, and when you get close to 1 million spectators just shouting, your ears are just piercing as you step every step of the way. But it was a great sound. And one thing that we really noticed, even as we walked into the expo, was security. Security was everywhere. Police cars, vans, trucks, they were definitely everywhere. It was prevalent in the city, and you couldn't miss them. Everywhere you turn, there was some sort of security personnel around there, and it certainly made you feel safe. But that was the first thing that we noticed, even coming into Boston, just how many, police officers were lining the streets and walking the streets, and the dogs. But it certainly was a great environment walking into, believe it or not, knowing that you're well protected and being watched over, so to speak, actually. But that was the first thing. But certainly the mood there, the people were happy and excited to be there. This was an opportunity to take back the city, if you will, from last year's tragedy. And the whole theme of this year was Boston Strong, and allowing the runners and the people not only to honor the victims of the bombing there, those injured and killed, but to take back the finishing line there. And many individuals, close to 7,000 runners, did not finish last year, and of course they got an invitation to come back and finish that. So it was just an exciting atmosphere walking into Boston. Everyone was wearing their Boston Strong shirts, and very, very supportive of all the runners coming in from all over the world. It was absolutely fantastic feeling as you walked down the streets of Boston there.
Well, and one would have to think, too, maybe a little icing on the cake for those in the U.S. First time an American has won since, 1983, I believe. Absolutely
incredible. The crowds went wild, and someone from their home territory winning the Boston Marathon, that's really, really an exciting moment, as you say, an icing on the cake there.
And on the women's side, a new record was set as well.
Absolutely incredible. I think it was about 2:18, and man, those ladies were just blazing a trail there, and that just brought on really the excitement too. For the other runners coming through afterwards. So it was an exciting day, and it was a beautiful morning, just a beautiful morning walking into Marathon Monday. It's Patriots Day there in Massachusetts there, and it's a national holiday, a state holiday, and so all the spectators are coming out there. But it was one of those moments you will never forget as you kind of lined it, as you ran the streets there, and high-fiving everywhere. Signs were lining the streets. It was just an encouragement from start to finish. It was a beautiful, beautiful day.
Now, of course, you got to run the race as well. Your time?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, I did something special this year, too, as well. The Boston Athletic Association that puts on the Boston Marathon also has a 5K race, and they do that usually the day before, but because of Easter falling on this weekend, they ran a 5K race, and they wanted the opportunity for just individuals to run the 5K, and they can cross really the finishing line of the Boston Marathon on the 5K race, and traditionally they only allow 5,000, but this year they allowed 10,000 runners in. So I signed up for the 5K on the Saturday morning, and just the excitement of race day coming up, and of course leading up to Monday, and out of the 10,000 people, it was a beautiful morning once again there, and we're in the Commons Park, if you will, Central Park in downtown Boston, and I ended up coming 7th overall in my age division out of almost 400 in my age category, and it was just a great lead-in to Marathon Monday. I ended up coming 132nd out of 10,000 people, but it was an absolutely fantastic day leading into it. And, of course, coming Marathon Monday, I felt strong. And, in fact, leading into that the race there, the first 15 kilometers, I was on pace to do a sub-3-hour marathon. And I looked at my watch, and I could not believe it, just the excitement of the crowd just propelling us runners through. But then I saw the Hoyts. That's a father-son team. It's a father pushing a disabled son, and I'm part of that team. And I looked over there, and I thought, you know what? This is the moment I'm going to celebrate for the next 100 years, if I live that long, is to run the next leg of the race with them. And so I stopped with them and ran the next 27 kilometers with them, and that was the greatest marathon I have ever run. And I set a new PR for that marathon. I actually set it for my slowest marathon ever, 6 hours, 29 minutes, and it was the best 6 hours, 29 minutes that I've ever spent on a marathon course, running with the Hoyts as they finished their last Boston Marathon together. They've been running now for 32 Boston Marathons. They've done over 1,000 races and right across the world there. And the Marathon Monday, Boston Marathon, was their last race together. So it was a celebration. But it was also a really a sober time in knowing that they will never run the Boston Marathon. They're the face of the Boston Marathon, if you will. But it was a special moment with me just to run with that team. It was that team, actually, that started the journey for me 6 years ago. I was a couch potato, never ran a day in my life, and at the age of 40, I wanted to run the Boston Marathon. It was one of my dreams. But unfortunately, the voices around me told me that I would never qualify for Boston, let alone run a marathon, because of my weight and size. And after watching the Hoyt video, their words were, "Yes, you can." That's your motto. And I thought, yes, I can. And they demonstrated through that video that anything is possible, that limitations only exist if you allow them to. So I bought my pair of shoes after watching their video and ended up qualifying for Boston 3 years later and running the Boston Marathon. And I thought, wouldn't it be so cool to run with the Hoyts? And they put together a special team of 20 runners, and I was chosen one of 2 Canadians to represent them in the Boston Marathon 2012, and of course 2013 too as well, and then for the final marathon 2014. So it was a real celebration, a special moment for me, because they started the journey for me 6 years ago, and of course qualifying now for 3 years in a row, and being with them, it was an incredible moment. It was probably the best day of my life, as we cheered, as we walked together, as we talked together, and as we crossed that finish line. It was a journey to be celebrated.
Now, you say originally being a couch potato. I'm a pro in that, by the way.
I love that.
Which tells me I could probably definitely beat your personal record for slowest marathon time. I don't even know if I'd finish. But you say it only took 3 years from the time that you decided that you were going to try for this to actually qualify?
That's correct. 3 years. I ended up running actually 4 marathons. Boston Marathon is the only marathon in all the world you have to qualify for. And Boston Athletic Association has some strict qualification times. In fact, they only take the world's top 10% of marathon runners. There are many marathon runners, but to qualify it is very, very difficult. And it ended up taking me 3 years and 4 marathon tries, if you will, to get that qualification time that I needed. And And there was a lot of hours. You know, you talk about a marathon being 26.2 miles. I can tell you it's a lot longer than that. You know, the hours and the miles and the training that goes into it, it's hundreds, if not thousands of miles that you put into it. And when you line up, it's an experience as you run. Really, the dream of all dreams is the Boston Marathon. Of all races, it's probably the greatest race to be at.
So what would your advice be to someone who's, maybe sitting on the couch right now and thinking, they'd like to try out for one of these? What's kind of some advice that you might give to somebody just starting out?
You know, I always say that to dream big, and we all have dreams, actually, and unfortunately sometimes that wall comes in that says that you can't do it, as you're just saying there. The advice I would give is the advice certainly that the Hoyts have given to many thousands, if not millions of people around the world, is that yes, you can. You can do anything that you want to do. In fact, when we think about dreams, they're there to be reached. And the first thing that you have to do, which is always the hardest, is to take that first step. And once you take that first step, you'll never look back again. And like you say, that usually begins the journey of 1,000 miles. So it's a matter of believing in yourself that anything is possible. And that's kind of the model, too, as well, that, even though the obstacles are there, the greatest thing to do is to break through that with the attitude that, yes, I can do this. I can do this. And with that belief that anything is possible, those dreams do come true. It does take a lot of hard work, but with that commitment and that endurance and that perseverance, you'll see those dreams come through.
Well, and I was just going to say, obviously, it has to be a lot of hard work. Like, what kind of training, I guess, would go into this?
For a marathon, I'm usually putting in probably 10 hours a week. And, certainly coinciding, particularly with this year, I'm actually doing an Ironman competition next week, just outside of Las Vegas in St. George, Utah. So, interesting you talk about marathon training. This year I was putting in about 20 hours a week in. And this winter has been absolutely brutal, and it tested every fiber in me to stop running many days because it was so cold. And but when I went out there at 4:30 in the morning, the snow was blowing at -30. I thought, there's going to be a day, and that day will be Marathon Monday, where I'm going to step on, and it's going to be all worth it. And it was absolutely true that those hours that you do put in, and not to give up, because it's so easy to give up on those dreams when it gets tough, but it's hanging in there for the long haul. And once you do that, you're never the same.
Well, I can tell you, I don't think there's too many things in this world that'll get me out in -30 at 4:30 in the morning.
I have pictures with me of icicles all over my eyelashes. I don't have any hair, but let me tell you, it was really long winter. But anyways, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But it was certainly many days out there, and I kept just thinking, will be this day that we're going to come, and no regrets.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Wes. We really, really appreciate it, and best of luck in your upcoming races there.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and you have a fantastic evening.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Wes Harding, of course, running the Boston Marathon again.
Again, yeah, and that's astounding. Just kind of getting into running around the age of 40. I mean, at that quick of turnaround to be able to run in the Boston Marathon. He mentioned that they only take kind of the top echelon of runners for the marathon. It's just absolutely remarkable, and a great story for anyone who's maybe hesitant to get active. There's your motivation right there.
Well, I think I know how I could win the Boston Marathon. I've got it. I just need to bring enough cab fare and make sure nobody saw me.
That is the key. And don't write your bib in crayon either.
Oh.
Print it off professionally as well.
Apparently. Anyway, Josh, the marathon expert over here. Anyway, I got to take a quick break. Of course, we'll be back, maybe talk a little NHL playoffs. The Montreal Canadiens looking to finish the sweep of the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll see if that happens tonight or not, but I can tell you that totally destroyed my prediction of that series. I'll talk a little bit about the Wings and the Bruins as well, coming up on the Sports Show.
When a Jeep craft